And we are back, and we are joined by Tamina Watson, immigration attorney and expert legal author as well. And we are talking now about the role of immigration and the positive economic impact it has and the growth it has for our nation. So, obviously, as we were talking before, the problem facing many in the audience is understanding how immigration affects the economy because they're hearing a lot of noise from the media. And unfortunately, that's a lot, and that's very loud voices. And it often feels like a complex debate with no clear answers. So, since this is more your area of expertise specifically, how can you express to my audience how does immigration help fuel innovation and job creation within the United States?
Yeah, well, what a great question. Thank you so much, Alina. And I'm going to take them by categories. And I'll start with tourism. At the moment, there are many countries who are putting out statements about, warnings about going into the United States. The countries, the governments are putting warnings, do not go to the United States. But that is harming our tourism industry. If you think about spring break coming up, and how many people go to Disneyland, and anybody here listening, if you go to Disneyland, pay attention to the people around you. Often they're coming from different countries to visit. They are using their hard earned money to get on a plane to come into the United States. But what happens when they are here? They're going to our restaurants, they're going to our hotels, they're using our transportation. And every one of these industries are getting financial revenue from the money that these tourists are spending, whether they're going to Disneyland or Universal Studio and Florida, where Alina is a hotspot for tourism. Just think about how much they are contributing to our economy locally. I live in Seattle, Washington. We have Pike Place Market. We have, Microsoft and Amazon have their campuses that are somewhat of a tourist destination. We have so many things that are here. We have whale watching here, by the way, in Washington State, if you come to visit. But just realize and just visualize, what is your business? Do you have a restaurant? Do you have a cafe? Who are your customers? These tourists become our customers. So we are suddenly losing a lot of funds in tourism, revenue. But let's then talk about the student visas. Students who come here, our education system is such that our universities, our higher education institutions, they rely on the foreign tuition, the tuition that foreign students pay into the system. That helps those institutions stay afloat. We do not have enough American homegrown students going into the STEM fields. But so when these international students come to our country, they're actually also fueling the economy. They are spending on rent. They're buying our groceries. They are part of obviously spending at the school. They're buying textbooks. There are many stats, and I don't have them at hand at the moment, but they are contributing billions of dollars to the economy. These students who then graduate and they go into the next phase, they are innovators. They are going into the workforce, they're high skilled, and whether I live in Washington State, so Microsoft and Amazon roll off the tongue. But if they go to one of these big companies, they are contributing to the bottom line of American businesses. But if they are starting their own companies, often they're coming up with innovative solutions. You think about WhatsApp, you think about Zoom, you think about all of these platforms that we're using, Instagram. The founders were international, high skilled folks who came to the United States. So they are the fabric of our country. But if you think about retail, Levi's jeans that we so wear with such pride, Levi's was an immigrant. Those who love to shop, maybe you go to Nordstrom. Nordstrom was founded by a Swedish immigrant. If you think about the various aspects of our lives, that the fabric of our society, immigrants have really shaped it brick by brick. And I can go on about examples of these, but these are the types of contributions that has really made America a global superpower. And we're about to lose that with all the different policies.
Well, it was, and maybe I I haven't researched this lately, or most recently. However, it was my understanding that Trump actually was a proponent of fast tracking these kids, these university students and stuff, because one of the things he wanted to do was to promote them to stay here because obviously now the kids not going into STEM and all that, that goes into another topic, which is education and why STEM and basic arithmetic, things like that are not the focus, which that's total different program. Um, but it was my understanding that he wanted to do something that was for these kids that were doing the STEM, the engineering, the computer and all that, to actually have like almost a promotion for them to be able to fast track for not only visa but residency so they can stay in the United States. So we're not investing in these kids to go back to their home countries. But it also sparks the question, and I'm wanting to hear your opinion on this. The gold visa, the golden visa. I feel like we're like Willy Wonka, the golden ticket. I mean, Trump is like saying this golden visa where people who have a certain net worth can buy a visa. Have you been keeping up with that, and
Oh
can
my
you kinda give us
gosh.
a back what your opinion is on
Yes.
this?
Oh, I can't wait to tell you more about that. Let
Okay.
me close the loop on the student visa and the green card. You're totally right. President Trump, before the inauguration, did say he wanted to make sure that high-skilled students who are graduating from universities here get a green card, and that was received with a lot of warmth and it was welcomed. But we are almost 100 days into the presidency, and we haven't seen that happen. So it's hard to know whether it was rhetoric or whether it was genuine. We'll have to wait and see. But I think we, the people, Alina, I just love the name of your show. I think we should hold our, leaders accountable. And if that is something that was mentioned during the campaign trail, we should hold them accountable. And I think it's important that all the stakeholders talk about it, whether it's the universities, whether it's the industry, we all need to talk about it. But let's move on to the gold visa. You're totally right. There's a lot of interest. But what I want your listeners to understand is that laws have been created by Congress, and only Congress can create new laws. So, an executive order with a signature of pen can change policy. Policy means which direction are you going in, left or right? But that road, that's Congress. Congress has to put the concrete in and put all the things in it to make the road solid. So, the direction is what can be guided, but not the law. So the gold visa, and a funny story, I was in Mexico actually speaking at a conference, and I was on stage talking about EB5 visas when somebody in the audience said, "What do you think about the gold visa that was announced 5 minutes ago?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, thank you for telling me." But let me tell you this, it can be a worthwhile program. But what the announcement was, it would eliminate the current program. And in my opinion, we should keep both programs. There's a different clientele, different candidate. The people who are investing $1 million in their businesses are actually business people. They want to run their businesses. Those are the people who are creating jobs. They've already injected $1 million into our economy. Let them have their green cards. It's a separate category. Why can't we have an additional category of the gold visa? But there are technical challenges. Number one, Congress has to create it. But it's not just creating a new visa category. The United States immigration system gives out 140 green cards a year in employment based immigration. Where are these 1,000 visas coming from? Which number is it is going to get affected? It needs a lot of rejigging, and it gives the opportunity to actually make meaningful reform. So my hope is it's a good thing. And if it's going to go towards the deficit of the country, fantastic. But don't eliminate the EB5 as it stands. Just create a new one. But just know that Congress is the ultimate agency chamber that has to create this.
So you're gonna love this. So, well, growing up, again, I'm gonna date myself. Growing up on Saturday morning cartoons, which I guess kids don't really do this time now, there used to be the Schoolhouse Rock. And you know what, Gustav, my producer, Gustavo, I'm gonna have to tell him he's gonna have to pop this one up, but there was a Schoolhouse Rock on I'm Just a Bill, and it's about the process of how a bill becomes a law. And again, part of not part, a very big issue is that we are now, like, hamstrung by a Congress that refuses to work together. And that is not in the best interest of we the people. It lacks complete common sense. And I'm still trying to figure out what Cory Booker did other than break a record, why there was a 25-hour and 5-minute talk when there was nothing on this floor. But it really goes back to, people keep saying, like, when you're looking at these visas, we have to, thank you, Gustavo, we have to have Congress go. And it shouldn't just be your congressional member from your district. Talk to the congressmen from California, Wisconsin, New York, Florida, Texas, everybody, because yes, they represent their states, like the senators or their districts, the congressional members, but they're also there to represent the United States of America and what's in the best interest. And it is not until we, the people, 80% of us, the polls show that 70 to 80% of us across all political and non affiliated political lines are in favor of positive reforms for immigration. And this will allow our economy to grow. This will allow us to have our families settled and secure, but also increase the level of employability. Tamina, I know you have to run. I want to say thank you again for appearing. I am excited to have you back on very shortly because I think we're going to start seeing if we can get Congress to start working the way they should and not just, you know, rattling their sabers. I think we could start a movement as to at least little steps one by one.
Amen to that. Thank you so much for having me, Alina. I so appreciate the work you do, and I'm grateful to have these conversations with you.
All right, we're going to cut now and say good night and thank you again, Tamina.
Thank you.